I never thought I'd kill for a face that wasn't mine. But here I was, my borrowed fingers slick with the sweat of a stranger's fear, pressing the cold steel of a .38 against the temple of the man who'd worn my skin like a trophy. The betrayal hit harder than the bullet I fired next. My own sister, Evelyn, had sold me out for a corner office and a penthouse view, swapping our souls in some black market ritual that left me rotting in her junky haze while she paraded as Audrey Hale, the golden girl of Chicago finance. And as my body, jerked and fell, spilling secrets onto the warehouse floor, I whispered the truth she'd buried. You took everything, Ev. Now watch me burn it all down from the inside. It started 6 months ago, in the shadow of the Willis Tower, where the wind howls like a confession no one wants to hear. I was Audrey Hale, 32, climbing the greasy ladder at Sterling Ventures, a mid-tier investment firm that specialized in flipping distressed properties for the 1%. Chicago's got that brutal honesty, glass skyscrapers stabbing the sky, Lake Michigan churning gray, and unforgiving below. I lived in a walk-up in Wicker Park, the kind of place where baristas know your coffee order and the rent's a monthly gut punch. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Late nights crunching numbers, weekend brunches with the girls, and Evelyn, my baby sister, crashing on my couch whenever her latest dead-end gig imploded. Ev was 28, all fire and fragility, with our mom's sharp cheekbones and dad's wandering eyes. She dropped out of community college after one too many inspirational benders, chasing modeling dreams that curdled into bartending shifts at dive bars in Pilsen. We were tight, or so I thought, blood thicker than the slush on Michigan Avenue in January. I'd bailed her out more times than I could count, loans for overdrawn accounts, alibis for her string of bad boy flings. Even that time she borrowed my identity for a credit card to fund a weekend in Vegas. You're the strong one, Betty, she'd say, batting those lashes over her third martini. I got your back forever. Forever lasted until the night of the gala. Sterling's annual black tie bash at the Art Institute, where deals were sealed over caviar and chivas. I was there in a rented gown that pinched like regret, schmoozing with the brass, Harlan Crow, the silver-haired CEO with a handshake like a vice and rumors of offshore accounts that could drown a small country. He was eyeing me for promotion, VP of Acquisitions, the kind of jump that meant my own office, stock options, and a shot at buying out of that Wicker Park shoebox. Evelyn showed up uninvited. Of course, in a knockoff Versace that screamed desperation. She'd sweet-talked her way past security with a forged invite, my forged invite, as it turned out. Just want to see you shine, sis, she purred, linking arms as we navigated the marble halls lined with Monets that cost more than our childhood home in Oak Park. But her eyes weren't on the art, they were on Harlan, who clocked her like a hawk spotting fresh meat. By midnight, she was on his arm, laughing at his stale jokes, while I nursed a warm champagne flute in the corner, feeling the promotion slip like fog off the lake. I confronted her in the ladies' room, mirrors fogged from too many trust fund egos, reapplying concealer. What the hell? Ev, this is my night. She spun, mascara smudged just enough to look vulnerable, and grabbed my wrists. Audrey, listen. Harlan's got connections, real power. He can fix everything for me. For us. Her voice dropped. Conspiratorial. There's this thing. A specialist. Some underground doc in the South Loop. He does swaps. Body swaps. Not like sci-fi crap, neurological. Experimental. Rewires your essence, your memories, into someone else's shell. You become the vessel. They steer from inside. I laughed, sharp and disbelieving, the echo bouncing off the porcelain sinks. You're high. Again. But she wasn't. Evelyn had been dabbling in the dark web forums, chasing whispers of elite transfers, where the rich shed their aging husks for younger, prettier ones. Harlan was in deep. His wife had withered from cancer, and he'd been scouting donors for years. Evelyn pitched herself as the perfect candidate, my body, unscarred and ambitious, for his empire. In exchange, she'd let me take hers, just for a year or two, until she climbed high enough to pull me back up. Think about it. AUD. You'd be free, no more spreadsheets. No more scraping by. Live a little in my skin. Party. Travel. And when I'm set, we switch back. Sisters forever. Right? It was madness. The kind that festers in sleepless nights. But betrayal has a way of creeping in slow, like lake effect snow burying the streets. The next week, after Harlan's offer came through, congrats on the VP nod, but with strings that reeked of quid pro quo, I found the card in my purse. Black matte, embossed with a sigil that looked like a coiled serpent. Dr. Voss. Rejuvenation Services. Evelyn's handwriting on the back. Trust me. For us. I went. God help me. I went. The clinic was a nondescript brownstone off State Street. The kind of place that blends into the brick facades like a guilty secret. Voss was a ghost, mid-50s. Eastern European accent thick as borscht. Eyes like polished obsidian. No white coat. Just a velvet smoking jacket and a tray of syringes glowing under UV light. Essence transfer, he murmured. Prepping the IVs. Your neural map overlays hers. Synapses fire as one. Reversible. With the counteragent. Evelyn was already there, strapped to the adjacent gurney, grinning like she'd won the lottery. See? Easy peasy. The needle bit. Cold fire racing on my arm. Then darkness. Vast and velvet. Swallowing me whole. I woke in her body, tattoos snaking up ribs I didn't remember getting. Nails bitten to the quick. A hangover pounding like a bass line from last night's club. Mirrors showed Evelyn's face, softer jaw, fuller lips. The faint scar from that childhood bike crash on her block. But inside, me. Audrey Hale, trapped in a stranger's skin, while across the room, I stirred, my old body blinking awake, Evelyn's sly smile curling my former lips. It was supposed to be temporary. Alone, she said. But the first call came that afternoon, from Harlan's assistant. Congratulations, Audrey. Meeting at 9 a.m. sharp. Her and my body sauntered out, heels clicking like victory marches. I stumbled after, in her ratty Converse and a hoodie that smelled of stale smoke, pounding on Sterling's revolving doors. Security laughed me off. Sorry, miss. No solicitors. That's when the hook sank deep. Evelyn wasn't coming back. She'd tasted power, my power, and it fit like a glove. The counteragent? Voss claimed it was destroyed in a lab accident. His fee for the swap conveniently hiked to 6 figures I didn't have. Harlan had bankrolled it all. Of course. In exchange for her loyalty. My loyalty. They buried the evidence. My personnel files scrubbed. My apartment lease transferred to Audrey Hale. My bank accounts rerouted. I was Evelyn Voss now. Persona non grata. A ghost in my sister's shadow. The betrayal burned hotter than a loop rush hour subway in July. But it was the secret that gutted me, the one I'd carried for her since we were kids. 10 years back, during our mom's slow fade from lupus, Evelyn had OD'd on fentanyl-laced pills at a house party in Logan Square. I found her, blue-lipped and seizing, and instead of calling 911, I drove her to a clinic upstate, paid cash, used my name on the forms, covered it up as my relapse, took the hit on my fresh-out-of-college record. It cost me scholarships, my first job offer, a chunk of my soul. "You saved me, Katie," she'd sobbed later. "I'll make it right."
Lies.
All of it. Now she wore my redemption like a crown, while I drowned in her debts. I adapted, because Chicago doesn't coddle the weak. Her life was a dumpster fire, eviction notices from a roach motel in Uptown, a dealer named Rico breathing down her neck for $5,000 in blow money, a parole officer sniffing around for missed check-ins from a petty theft beef she'd caught last winter. I pawned her jewelry, fake Tiffany's from Canal Street, for bus fare, crashed on couches in the Ukrainian village, piecing together scraps of who she'd been. Forums on the dark web whispered of Voss's network, elite swaps for the desperate rich, funded by pharma cartels testing neural tech. Harlan was the spider at the center, his web strung across the Midwest, devouring upstarts like me. Revenge brewed slow, like deep dish at Pequod's, layered, inevitable. I started small, hacking her, my socials from a library computer in Humboldt Park, seeding doubts. Anonymous tips to Harlan's rivals about Audrey Hale's erratic behavior, late arrivals, slurred boardroom rants, Evelyn's party habits bleeding through. She fought back. Of course, had security tail me once, mistaking me for a jealous ex. I slipped them in a crowd at the Taste of Chicago, blending into the sea of funnel cakes and blues bands. But the real play crystallized one rainlash night in a backroom poker den off Halstead. I'd hustled a seat with forged ID, bluffing my way to a $2,000 pot against a table of off-duty cops. Across from me sat Marcus Hale, no relation, just cruel irony, a mid-level fixer for Harlan's shell companies. 3 whiskeys in, he spilled, the swaps weren't just vanity projects. Voss's tech was black budget, duty funded for asset relocation, spies, witnesses, CEOs jumping bodies to evade hits. Evelyn's swap? A test run for Harlan's endgame, transferring his decaying ass into a prime vessel. Fine. To dodge an SEC probe that could bury Sterling. Marcus laughed it off as bar talk, but his eyes darted like minnows. I palmed his phone during a bathroom break, old-school slight from watching Ev's cons, downloaded the encrypted files. Blueprints for the counteragent. Harlan's kill list, my name crossed out, but only after relocation. And the kicker, Evelyn knew. She'd greenlit it all, signing away my essence for a 20% stake in the firm. Sisters forever? More like Judas with lipstick. The tension coiled tighter than a spring in a .45. I couldn't go to the cops, who believes a junkie raving about soul swaps. The feds? Harlan's donations kept the mayor's office greased. No. This was personal. A Windy City vendetta. Eye for an eye. Body for body. I tracked Voss first, cornering him in his brownstone after hours, a tire iron from a junkyard alley in hand. He cracked easy, the serpent in his sigil tattoo writhing under my glare. The reversal requires both essences intact, he stammered, sweat beading like dew on his bald pate. Destroy one, the other unravels. Madness. Suicide. Perfect. I left him zip-tied in his own lab, Counteragent vial tucked in my bra like contraband. Step 2. Infiltrate. Evelyn's old crew, Rico's crew, proved useful. A little charm, a lot of her lingo, and I was in, delivering product to Sterling's underground parties. The ones where execs snorted lines off interns' backs. I saw her up close that first time. In my body. Holding court in a Gold Coast loft. Harlan's arm possessive around her waist. She looked radiant. My cheekbones sharper under her makeup. My laugh a weapon now. But the eyes, God. The eyes, flickered with her chaos. A tell only I could spot. I played the long game. Feeding intel to the SEC through proxies. Whistleblower drops at Union Station lockers. Coded as Evelyn's confessions. Stocks dipped. Harlan raged. Purging staff like a purge in The Godfather. She cornered me once. In the Sterling garage, my parking spot now, pistol whipping the air inches from my face. You think you're clever, Ev? Slumming it back to your roots? Harlan's got plans for trash like you. I smirked, tasting blood from a split lip. Trash? That's rich. Coming from a thief in borrowed clothes. She froze. Gun wavering. Recognition dawned. Slow and sickly. Audrey. A whisper. Then hysteria. No. This isn't. Boss said it was clean. The slap echoed like a gunshot. Clean? You sold me, sis. For what? A view of the lake you can't even swim in. She crumpled. Mascara rivers. Begging for the vial. I dangled it. Cruel mercy. Switch back. Now. Or I leak everything you're OD. The swap. Harlan's empire. Front page Sun-Times. Sister swap scandal shakes Chicago elite. She agreed. Of course. Voss's lab. Midnight. The air thick with ozone and regret. Strapped in again. Needles pricking like accusations. As the drugs hit, I saw flashes, her memories bleeding into mine. The real secret, the gut punch she'd buried deeper than Lake Michigan mud. It wasn't just the OD I'd covered. 15 years ago, our dad didn't run off to California like Mom said. Evelyn had caught him skimming from her college fund, petty, but enough to snap her teenage rage. She poisoned his coffee. Slow acting. Watched him waste to nothing in a VA hospital bed. I took the blame. Confessed to helping with his meds. Did community service to shield her. Family she'd cooed then. Same as now. The transfer hummed. Souls sloshing like oil and water. I woke in my body stronger. Sure, but Evelyn. She didn't stir. Voss checked pulses. Monitors beeping frantic. Overload, he muttered. Your will too strong. Hers. Fragmented. She'd unraveled. Essence shredded in the swap. Leaving a husk that breathed but didn't live. Coma. Indefinite. Harlan's hit came swift. Cleaners in the night. Voss vanishing like smoke. But I was ready. SEC raid at dawn. Warrants waving like white flags. Harlan in cuffs. Snarling my name like a curse. The fallout was a media circus. Chicago style. WGN helicopters buzzing like hornets over Sterling's HQ. Trib headlines screaming, body-snatching scandal, finance mogul's dark secret. I played the victim card hard. Whistleblower extraordinaire. The real Audrey Hale emerging from the shadows. Talk shows ate it up. Me in a power suit on Windy City Live. Voice steady as the L tracks. Recounting the kidnapping without spilling the supernatural sauce. Who'd believe neural swaps anyway? Voss's tech got spun as experimental hypnosis, his lab torched as arson. Evelyn, tucked in a private room at Northwestern Memorial, machines humming lullabies to her vegetable state. I visited weekly, whispering updates through the veil. Harlan's rotting in MCC.
Ev.
20 to life for fraud and conspiracy. Your cut? Confiscated.
Poetic.
Huh. But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a boomerang, slicing back unexpected. The controversial calls started piling up like snowdrifts on Lakeshore Drive. First, the money. Sterling's assets frozen. But my VP stake? Liquidated in the chaos, netting me 7 figures after the feds skimmed their cut. I could have walked clean, new life in Seattle. Maybe. Rain instead of rust. But no. I funneled half into a slush fund for swap victims. Whispers from the dark web pointed to a dozen more. Husks like Evelyn scattered in psych wards from Detroit to Milwaukee. The rest? I bought influence. A quiet merger with a rival firm. Board seats greased with lawyers who'd once repped Harlan. Power's addictive. I learned that wearing her skin. The debates raged online. X feeds lighting up like the bean at midnight. Audrey swap trended. Hero or opportunist. Hail cashes in on sister's coma, blood money. Feminists hailed me as a survivor. Cons called it karma for stealing. Ev's shot at the dream. My old brunch crew ghosted. Then crawled back with apologies over oat milk lattes in Andersonville. We should have seen it, they'd say. Eyes averted. You changed. Harder. Damn right. Betrayal forges steel. Then Marcus reappeared. The fixer with the loose lips. Not as an enemy, lover. Maybe. In that messy Chicago way where alliances blur like fog off the river. He showed up at my new digs. A loft in the West Loop with exposed brick and a view of the freight trains rumbling like judgments. You played it smart.
Hail.
But Harlan's got friends outside. A warning. Wrapped in bourbon and bad decisions. We tangled sheets that night. His hands mapping scars Evelyn had etched, track marks faded to ghosts. What's your endgame? He murmured post-coitus. Cigarette smoke curling toward the ceiling fan.
Justice, I lied.
Tracing the serpent tattoo on his forearm. Voss's mark. Truth, catharsis. I'd taken the fall for her crimes twice. Dad's suicide, her OD.
Now.
With her essence echoes haunting my dreams. I questioned it all. Was the poison hers? Or had I handed him the cup that day? Rage blinded by his abandonment, memories swapped too. Slippery as ice on the mag mile. The climax brewed in Harlan's trial. Federal courthouse in the Loop, a zoo of suits and strobes. I testified. Crisp in Chanel, I'd charged to the firm's corpse. Dismantling his empire brick by laundered brick. He preyed on vulnerability, I said, voice echoing off the oak panels. Promised rebirth. Delivered graves. The jury ate it, Harlan's face purpled. Veins like lightning. But Evelyn's ghost loomed, her lawyers petitioning for guardianship, claiming I orchestrated the swap for gain. Controversy peaked when they leaked psych evals, my delusions of body theft. Flagged as Munchausen by proxy. Pundits on Fox tore in, sibling rivalry or sinister plot. Hale's revenge reeks of psychosis. Harlan's ace dropped mid-recess, a recorded confession. Grainy feed from his yacht on Lake Calumet. Voss. Pre-torch. Spilling that Evelyn initiated, begged for the swap. Even. Audrey resisted, he droned, accent thick. Evelyn forced the sedative. She wanted out debts. Demons. Said her sister owed her. Gasps rippled. My lawyer scrambled objections. But the damage stuck. Was I avenger or abuser? Had I pushed her into the abyss, repaying old debts with new chains? I confronted the mirror that night. My face, ours, staring back accusatory. The controversial decision hit like a southbound gale, mercy or malice. I could pull plugs, end her limbo, frame it as compassion, or fight, drag the family name through more mud for a shot at absolution. Marcus urged the plug. Let it go.
AUD.
You're free. But freedom's a lie in this town. Ghosts just change zip codes. The raid on Voss's remnants tipped it. Marcus and I hit a storage unit in Cicero, crates of serums, files thick as phone books. Buried deep. Dad's autopsy.
Revised.
Not poison, fentanyl overdose. Self-administered. Evelyn's lie. To bind me closer. She'd staged it. Pinned the guilt. Kept me tethered as her shield. The secret reversed. She'd gambled my soul from the start. A long con starting in that Oak Park basement. Rage crested. Dark and delicious. Back at the hospital. Monitors beeping like a countdown. I leaned close to her slack face. You win.
Ev.
Sisters forever. The vile counteragent, corrupted now with my doctored tweak, a chemist favor from the dark web, slid into her fore. Not reversal. Dissolution. Her essence fizzled, flat lines screaming through the halls. Nurses rushed. I slipped out a side door. Rain washing tears or triumph. Who could tell? The aftermath was a storm front rolling off the lake, swift, soaking, leaving everything rearranged. Cops swarmed my loft at 3 a.m., badges flashing like cheap jewelry, hauling me downtown in cuffs that bit like accusations. Euthanasia, they spat. Miranda rights blurring in the squad car's AC hum. You poisoned your own blood. The interrogation room smelled of stale coffee and broken dreams. Fluorescent buzz drilling my skull. Detective Ruiz. A bull of a man with a bear's lanyard and eyes like spent casings. Leaned in. Hail. We got footage. You, at the bedside. Vial in hand. Family don't do that shit. I lawyered up fast. Marcus's connect. A shark from the Gold Coast who billed by the gasp. Self-defense. He pitched in the holding cell. Ty Askew. She was a threat. Coma or not. That swap tech? Lethal weapon. But the narrative spun wild. Tabloids dubbing me the body thief. Protesters picketing Northwestern with signs. Justice for Evelyn. And the swap slayers. X exploded. Algorithms feasting on the divide. Free Audrey camps clashed with Justice for Ev. Threads dissecting our childhood like autopsy slides. Audrey's the villain. Stole her sister's life twice. Versus Evelyn was a parasite. Good riddance to bad blood. Bail hearing was a circus. Judges gavel cracking like thunder over the gallery's murmurs. Harlan's ghost pulled strings, his friends bankrolling Ev's defense team, painting me as the architect of our downfall. But the twist landed like a sucker punch. Voss. Alive and snitching from a Witsec hole in Wisconsin. His depot dropped via secure feed. Evelyn hadn't just initiated, she'd masterminded. Years of planning. Grooming me as the perfect vessel, my clean record. My ambition. All fodder for her escape. The OD cover-up? Bait to hook my guilt. Dad's death. Her red herring. But Voss confirmed, she'd dosed him. Testing the tech on small scales before Harlan's big leagues. The courtroom flipped. Gasps. Then silence thick as fog. My lawyer pounced. Your Honor? This changes everything. Coerce swap. Extortion. Judge, a grizzled vet with a white sock smug, nodded slow. Bail granted. Conditions: ankle monitor. No contact with assets. I walked out into a media blitz. Flashes popping like gunfire. Mics thrusting like bayonets. Audrey. Was it mercy killing? Did Evelyn deserve it?
Deserve.
That word haunted the drive home. Wipers slapping rhythm against the downpour. Marcus waited in the lobby. Bottle of Malort under his arm, Chicago's bitter truth serum. We toasted on the fire escape. City lights smearing below like wet paint. You did what you had to, he said. Hand warm on my knee. But doubt gnawed. Had I? The vial wasn't just dissolution. I'd laced it with a neuroblocker, ensuring no essence lingered, no ghost Evelyn haunting servers or synapses. Controversial? Hell. It was vigilante wet work. The kind that gets you a Netflix doc or a life bid. Power shifted gears after acquittal. Jury deliberated 12 hours. Foreman citing familial duress like it was gospel. Sterling's remnants? I absorbed them. Rebranded as Hale Ventures. Ethical investments. Swap victim advocacy baked in. Board meetings in sunlit conference rooms. No shadows. Marcus stuck. His fixer edges softening into CFO polish. We closed on a brownstone in Lincoln Park. The kind with a garden plot for basil and grudges. Life normalized. Or its facsimile. Brunches resumed. Now, with power players instead of baristas. But the debates lingered. Op-eds in the Trib questioning if I'd cashed in on corpse. Podcasts probing the ethics of essence erasure. The final twist slithered in autumn. Leaves carpeting Grant Park like confetti from a funeral. A package arrived. Unmarked. Postmarked Milwaukee. Inside, a flash drive. Voss's sigil etched faint. Files unloaded in my laptop's glow. Backups of our transfer. Not just data, echoes. Audio snippets of essences mid-swap. Voices overlapping like a bad dub. Mine. Pleading. Ev. Stop, this isn't you. Hers. Laughing. It is now.
AUD.
Always was. Deeper. Schematics for a new agent. Not reversal. Amplification. Merge souls. Not swap. Harlan's holy grail. Abandoned when I torched the lab. But viable. Temptation hit like a CTA delay, endless. What if I dosed Marcus? Shared his cynicism. His street smarts. Or a rival. Absorbed their empire from within. The dark web hummed with buyers. I could have been queen of the underworld. Bodies as currency. I deleted it instead. Drive smashed under heel on the L platform at dusk. Trains whooshing past like escaped thoughts. Controversial choice? Maybe. Power's a drug. But solitude's the cure. Evelyn's grave. Simple plot in Queen of Heaven. Under mom and dad, got fresh peonies weekly. Rest easy.
Sis, ige mormor.
Wind tugging my coat. Debts paid. Chicago healed crooked. As it does. I walked the Mag Mile at Christmas. Lights strung like fragile truces. Carolers belting, "Oh Holy Night," off-key. A kid bumped me. Spilling hot cocoa, apology in his eyes. Wide as saucers. Sorry.
Mess.
I knelt. Wiped his chin. No harm. Fresh start. He grinned. Gap-toothed. And dashed off. That's the debatable end. Redemption or delusion. Did I avenge? Or just survive? Harlan rots. Empire dust. Evelyn's gone. Secret with her.
Me?
Audrey Hale. Scars and all. Striding the streets where betrayal bloomed. Windy City whispers. Fool me once. Shame on you. Twice. I'll wear your skin to the grave. But in quiet nights, when the lake laps black and endless, I wonder, whose face stares back from the dark? Epilogue shadows don't fade easy in this town. They stretch. Warp. Paint the skyline in grays you can't bleach out. 6 months post-acquittal. Hale Ventures hit stride. Green energy flips in Bronzeville. Microloans for Pilsen startups. My name on plaques like a benediction. The media cycle spun on. True crime pods dissected the Hale horror. Netflix greenlit a series with a redhead lead who nailed my post-swap snarl but botched the accent. Protests dwindled to diehards outside my brownstone. Signs faded to monster and designer. I waved once. Coffee in hand, steam curling like smoke signals. Peace offering? Or piss off? They scattered like pigeons. Marcus proposed on a whim. Down by the buckthorn-choked paths of Jackson Park. Waves slapping the breakwater like impatient applause. No ring, too conventional, just a keychain fob for a safe house in Door County. Our bolt hole if the feds circle back. I said yes. Because why not? Love in Chicago's a calculated risk. Odds better than the lottery. Worse than a Cubs pennant. Wedding was low-key. City Hall with a justice who moonlighted as a blues harpist. Reception at a soul food joint in Englewood, collards and cornbread. Toasts heavy with unspoken debts. But the lingered. A low hum under the floorboards. Dreams bled essences. Evelyn's laugh echoing in empty boardrooms. Dad's rasped begging for the cup I swore I never filled. Therapy? A Park Avenue shrink with a Trib subscription. Nodding as I unpacked the guilt strata. You carried her sins, she'd say. Pen scratching like claws. Time to lay them down. Easy words for a woman whose worst betrayal was a cheating pool boy. The real controversy reignited with the leak. Some hack, boss's ghost. Maybe. Or Harlan cellblock snitch. Dumped the full files on WikiLeaks, swap logs, victim manifests. My tweak to the vial confirmed as intentional kill. Feds reopened the case. Subpoenas raining like acid from the Hancock. Murder one. Ruiz growled over the phone. Voice gravel. We got motive. Means, and your prints on the murder weapon metaphorical. But it'll stick.
Panic? Nah.
I'd prepped contingencies. Chicago bred. Marcus lawyered double time. Spinning it as therapeutic termination. Evelyn's living will. Forged but forensically tight. Citing. Irreversible neural degradation. Public sympathy tilted. Op-eds in the Reader framing me as anti-hero. The woman who ended the body trade. Protests flipped. Hail Heels banners at rallies. Survivors from the manifest testifying in viral vids. Hollow-eyed women reclaiming names. Crediting my torch job. Trial 2 loomed. But the twist reversed hard. Harlan, from his Supermax perch,
Copped a plea. Full confession vid.
Smuggled out on contraband thumb drive. Evelyn Hale was the puppet master. Recruited her sister as bait. Dosed the old man to seal the bond. I was just the banker. Time-stamped pre-coma. Voss verified. Motive? Ev's endgame wasn't power, escape. Cancer. Stage 4.
Hidden in psych notes.
The swap? Her Hail Mary. My body as lifeboat. She'd planned the unravel. Knowing it'd take me down too. Mutual destruction. Sisterly scorched earth. Jury deadlocked 10-2 acquit. Mistrial declared. Case shelved as extraordinary circumstances. I walked again. into a dawn-breaking gold over the lake, air crisp with possibility. Marcus waited curbside, engine idling. "Door County," he asked, grin crooked. "Or we burn it all and start in Austin?" We drove north. Peninsula roads winding through orchards heavy with apples. The safe house a cedar A-frame overlooking Green Bay. No monitors. No shadows, just waves and wood smoke. I planted that garden anyway. Tomatoes twisting up trellises. Basil perfuming the air like absolution. Letters came, fan mail mostly. A few death threats forwarded by the service. One stood out, from a girl in Milwaukee. "Swap survivor. You gave me my skin back. Thank you." Ending happy? Debatable. The dark clings, nights when I wake gasping. Evelyn's eyes in the mirror. Whispering deserve. But Chicago taught resilience. Rebuild on ruins. Salt the wounds to cauterize. Marcus carves decoys from driftwood. I crunch numbers for good. Power's a shadow. Family. Fractured as it was. The only light. Was it revenge or reckoning? Heroism or hubris? You decide. Reader, over a Chicago dog or deep dish debate?
Me?
I'll raise a glass to the betrayed, the bold,
The bodies we bury.
in the windy city. Winds change, but debts? They echo eternal.
Fade to black.
Or just the next storm brewing. Your call.